No one knows really what to make of in the coronavirus arena, at least. How long? How's it going to impact us? How long do we need to cancel things, postpone things for? So made some calls last night. I've been talking to people throughout the day today. I'm not interested in breaking down the virus aspect of this. You got a lot of people who can do that for you. But what I did want to know is, what are the expectations and what is the current thinking? What's the current climate out there for how people are planning to react if, and if? A lot of ifs out there. So if the ifs come to fruition, what are we thinking here? This was I'm just quickly a list here, the most common feedback and themes that I got in the feedback from people who are in the industry. The first takeaway is, there has not been a conference disproportionately affected right now. And what I mean is, there's no one conference that's shutting everything down and another conference is just going to go on as planned. There's going to be uniformity if there hasn't already been. There's going to be probably uniformity in the decisions that a lot of conferences make. I mean, right now, from a recruiting standpoint, pretty much every major conference is off the road until further notice, or they will be. Having said that, there are programs that have taken further steps, like Notre Dame, Penn State, USC, Virginia. They've just canceled all spring football activities right now. That is an example of programs being disproportionately impacted. That's something to keep an eye on. Is the temporary dead period put in place for recruiting right now? You know, right now, since you have staffs that would normally be on the road, off the road, a lot of people are wondering, could there be a step taken from the NCAA standpoint of putting in a dead period right now? If there's a dead period put in, then what do you do with the recruiting calendar? Does everything remain as is and you just kind of go on about your business? What does April and then May and June? May and June have become what December used to be in recruiting. There were a flurry, and there were a blizzard, if you will, of signings and commitments this time last year. What does that look like this year? Could it be? Now, again, I know it sounds like I'm rambling. What I'm doing is bullet pointing the most common things that people are outwardly speculating. People in the know that don't know right now, outwardly speculating. Could it be, a lot of people are asking this, that with the way that the recruiting calendar is so violently shifted towards a lot of commitments in April and May and June, and then you have the season, and then the vast majority of elite kids, they sign in the early signing period, and then you have a few that wait to February. Could it be that, for old time's sake, since the recruiting calendar is being thrown off right now, could it be that maybe far less commitments happen in what has become the summer splash period, as I like to call it, trademark? Could it be that some kids now push theirs to December, but far more kids than previous couple of years push theirs to February, and the old school National Signing Day for 1 year only, back for 1 day only, becomes the premier signing day? No one knows. No one knows how long this is going to last. How will fall camps be handled? If you've got a cancellation of spring activities, does the NCAA, do conferences in general get together and say, let's extend what we allow in a fall camp by a week, by 2 weeks? Acclimation periods, do those change in the fall? Which teams are front-loaded with their schedule and dependent on a lot of true freshman starters? Normally, you got your early enrollee true freshmen. They go through all of spring, summer workouts, fall camp. And as a result, hey, you loaded up on true freshmen, but you can get by playing them. Well, if you don't have spring and you don't have off-season workouts, and then you're just kind of throwing them all into a blender during the fall, could there be some elite teams that are freshman heavy, that have front-loaded schedules, that could be very strangely out of contention? This is, again, working off the assumption that the season's going to happen as normal. Consider this. Consider the potential ripple effect. I'm going to use a hypothetical here that I have no knowledge of. I do have knowledge of what some people's expectations are. So a lot of programs out there need help at quarterback, obviously. That's an every year deal. 2020 and 2021, 2022, those will be no different. But right now, we sit here, March 2020. I can tell you this. A lot of people noticed when Alabama signed Bryce Young. Bryce Young is a generational quarterback. Bryce Young was the number one player in America. Bryce Young committed to and has signed with the University of Alabama. Mac Jones is the current listed starting quarterback for the University of Alabama. And I can tell you right now, this is the ripple effect, the unintended consequence that you're going to see throughout a lot of sports. College football, just the example I'm using here. I can tell you some staffs out there hoped that Bryce Young would come in, dominate this spring at Alabama, enough to where Mac Jones sort of looked around and surveyed his options and maybe entered that transfer portal. That's not what they expected at Alabama, I can tell you that, but that's what a lot of staffs hoped happened. Well, now you don't have spring. If you don't have spring, then maybe that never has a chance to happen. And maybe had that gone that route, a program out there that would have landed a game-changing quarterback no longer has the opportunity to. The general feel here, and a lot of hypotheticals I'm throwing at you, everyone's head spinning. No one has a firm grasp. It's kind of like trying to nail Jell-O to the wall right now. No one knows what's going to happen. My general feel is a couple things are probably true. Truth number one, this is very serious. Truth number two, things will ultimately be fine. So I'm going to ride the fence, and I'm going to hang out in both camps. Just be smart.